bonus episode, which is intentionally behind a paywall. Just a warning to those channels, we will nuke the fuck out of you, okay? If you're gonna like steal content from paid walled, members only content. Just wanna say that. Anyway.
But how do y'all feel about blowing up off the backs of exposing those frauds? Because like I personally I like to sit back and I'm like, hey, you know what, I was an early Vanguard adopter before they were cool. Okay, I was bringing them on, even though some people are like, oh, they're kind of controversial, they hang out with that Jimmy Dore guy and I don't know about them. And I was like, here's why I think that they're good kids.
Not anymore.
They well, yeah, not anymore. Now you're scum. But I was like, they organize. They do shit in real life. Like they actually care. Like just to me, that's enough for me to think that they're gonna find the right way or the right path. Doesn't matter. Even if they've had Jimmy Dore on their show, they're like that. That to me is way more important, right? And then
he only came on one time, to be fair.
Okay, fine. I'm gonna stop associating you with him.
Well, it's interesting, Lance, because at that point, like we were kind of more in the like Jimmy Dore camp. You were more in the TYT camp. You were still a contributor at the time. Obviously, it's just crazy to see how
was I still a contributor back then? Yeah, maybe.
Oh yeah, I remember you were. I was until like what 2023 or so.
I think so. It was like until the around the birther person controversy. That's where they effectively kicked me off of the power panels because like I was to be fair, I was never contributors and I worked for the network. They invited me onto their panels and like anyone else, you know, who was smaller, I'd be like, oh yeah, I'll go on your panels. Like you're a bigger show. Right. I'll go on the panels and talk shit. Yeah.
Either way, at the time when we entered the field, it was like, you know, the force the vote era. That was the dominant conversation. It really kind of was like Jimmy Dore, Brianna Joy Gray versus like, you know, the Majority Report, TYT.
Yeah, true.
But now, you know, TYT and Jimmy Dore have both completely, you know, sold out. They're both just a shadow of their former selves. You can't really get much serious left-wing or progressive commentary on either platform. So it's kind of depressing, you know, from that perspective too. Here we are, you know, and both of those mammoths of progressive media have totally just gone down, you know, leaving just a bunch of people in their wake, kind of disparate channels. But yeah, have you, I don't think you've seen this yet, Lance. I know a lot of people in chat are very excited, but Ana Kasparian, she really escalated this whole beef last night live on the Young Turks.
I have not.
Spicy words and a threat actually against not just the Vanguard, but I think specifically the Vanguard. I'm gonna play this as audio, but as you see here, Hank tweeted this out.
Switch it really quick.
Yeah, Hank tweeted this out. He says, yeah. So I don't want to spoil it, but let's get into the audio and then we'll take a look over here. This is crazy shit though.
I think TYT is insane for not copyright striking channels who take our content from our members only bonus episode, which is intentionally behind a paywall. Just a warning to those channels, we will nuke the fuck out of you, okay? If you're gonna like steal content from paid walled, members only content. Just wanna say that. Anyway, weird to start with that, but like, come on guys. Like bounds of fucking reason, okay? Like it's insane when you see that happen. People steal our content all the time. We don't do anything about it. But when it comes to paywalled members only content, like we're giving people exclusive members only content. That's part of membership. It's like ridiculous to just steal that content. Anyway, let's get to this Netflix dating show, Love is Blind. Do you watch any of that stuff, Waz?
And what's so hilarious is she's going to later on in that episode cite an article from like the Washington Post or the New York Times
or play
the Wall
a clip.
Street Journal.
I bet you should play a clip from Love is Blind on the show. Like,
and it's hilarious too, because if anybody's curious and they weren't paying attention, the clip she's reacting to was us dunking on her for taking a cheap shot at Francesca Fiorentini, again behind a paywall, and bunking some of her turf arguments about how the crazy left has made it impossible for us to win because we're just so crazy. And, you know, there's little Susie can't be taking elbows from a man during gym class, you know, and all these things that do not freaking happen. And she wants to be able to get away with that without having any consequences, without receiving any backlash at all. Pretty crazy.
Yeah. That's and by the way, live on air, we didn't even realize that it was members only content. Someone sent us that and we were reacting to it. I didn't even realize it was from the bonus episode part of their show. So, it's not like it was intentional, but also to say that people are stealing our content, that's ridiculous. It's kind of just how YouTube works. It's not like we're just posting Young Turks live streams. No, we're adding our commentary, our perspective.
You're transforming it. It's transformative. Absolutely.
And by the way, if anyone's, we also have we actually put more of our show as members only than TYT. I think they have like a bonus episode that happens, which is like 30 minutes of paywalled content, which we apparently accidentally reacted to like 3 seconds of, right? A lot of our show is members only. After our live streams are over, what doesn't make it into a clip is paywalled. It's members only live stream after the fact. Let me tell you right now, guys, any single one of you watching, lovers, haters, whatever, fans, whatever, whoever you are, feel free to react to as much of that content as you want. Even if you barely comment on it, even if you barely transform it, we don't give a fuck. Why? Because we actually care about free speech, right? Anna's been criticizing the right wing justly for some of their anti-free speech hypocrisy, but here she is threatening channels that are 1/100th the size of the Young Turks. Literally,
I was going to add, even if you didn't get permission from the Vanguard there, that doesn't matter, all right? Because if you are taking that copyright content and you're transforming it, the copyright holder does not have the right to claim that they're going to nuke you because you're suddenly trying to criticize them. And that's what I like. If it applies to fucking Disney and Marvel, it definitely applies to the Vanguard. I'm going to be honest with you, because that's absolutely ridiculous. This is how you prevent a giant corporation from silencing you if you want to say, this is shit. I think this Star Wars movie is shit. I'm going to play a clip to prove to you why it's shit. Here's a 5-second clip. That was shit, right? That was a shitty clip. Boom. You don't need the permission from the original copyright holder in that regard. And TYT can't be like, but it was behind a paywall. Come on, people had to pay to see that. And I assume the two of you aren't the ones who are like paying members who are watching hours of their content to find a clip. Like it's like anyone else, like me, like people send it to you, right? Or you see it on Twitter, or you react to it. Like that's the game.
We have some really dedicated people that do a lot to keep tabs on TYT, people who, are longtime listeners that are very frustrated, and they'll be like, you guys can't miss this timestamp. Here's a link in our inbox. And we're really grateful to those people. But no, I very rarely am, combing through the back canon of the Young Turks. You know what I mean?
Members only.
It's not something that I'm. Yeah, it's more of a means to an end, and kind of like your question earlier, right? Like, how do you feel about, or how do we feel about rising so much off of the back of the Young Turks? We were like, to be honest, they did it to themselves, and we're just, happy
to be clear, I'm complimenting you. I think it's fucking awesome, because I think honestly those grifters needed to be exposed. The whole like the Polymarket Studios presents the home of progressives bullshit. As like, there's a percentage of people who genuinely are going to be watching their propaganda articles and their fake ass news reports where they're just trying to get everyone scared that Venezuelans are coming to stab their mothers in the fucking ass and shit like that every day, and actually believe this is leftist shit, right? Like there needs to be a Vanguard that is actually going to direct someone who might be looking at one of those videos being like, oh, apparently Venezuelans are dangerous and they want to stab my grandmother, and actually see like, oh shit, no, those people were lying and they took one isolated case that no one's on the other side of. Like no one's like pro, stabbing. I'm not for people stabbing people's grandmas, but I'm obviously like, that's not a problem that's happening all the time, right? Whereas like, maybe black Americans disproportionately getting arrested compared to white Americans for using drugs happens a lot more. Maybe racial profiling happens a lot more. Maybe these are the things we should talk about that the mainstream media doesn't. Isn't that the point of like, alternative leftist media?
And I just can't get over the blatant hypocrisy of the fact that for over a decade, 15 years at this point, Ana Kasparian has been reading articles that were written entirely by people that were not employed by the Young Turks. You know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of effort to put out a real article. Like, I always bring up my girlfriend. She's a reporter for the local NPR affiliate, and she works damn hard. She's at the library right now meeting with a person, and then after work today is going to go to another thing at the library to hear about a highway that was built 35 fucking years ago. But you know what I mean? It's hard work to do all of that, and they don't even so much as shout out the journalist that wrote the article that they're referencing. They don't so much as plug these people, right? But yet she wants to go and throw a tantrum about how people are stealing their content. And now I think we could all do better about plugging the journalists that write pieces that we cite on the show. I'm not saying that Ana
Yeah.
Kasparian would be uniquely at fault for that. But the level of fucking shamelessness, right? It really reminds me of Ethan Klein. Ethan Klein back in the day used to be a diehard defender of fair use and the ability to react to shit. He'd be like,
didn't he have a trial over it, or he got sued for that or something? Like someone.
And he won back in the day, and he made a legal trust for people who are going to be able to use it. And then when he got so pissed off about Hassan haters, he immediately flipped the script and he was like, "We're going to sue anybody that reacts to too much of H3's content." It's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. Also, I mean, even like we're talking about this from a copyright perspective, I was saying that, anyone who loves us or hates us, feel free to react to our content, even if it's paywalled, even if it's members only. Why? Because I care about free speech. And that's true. I do care about free speech, but I also couldn't imagine not being able to answer for anything that I've said, right? There's nothing I say on the show that I won't defend or that I'd be embarrassed to hear played by another channel and reacted to, even if they're critical of it, right? I stand by what I said. Right. Or I'll correct it if I'm wrong. Yeah, I have no problem doing that either. So even if there was something that someone reacted to from a members only live stream that Zach and I were like, oh, thank God that was members only and it's not going to get out there. Well, it got out there anyway. Who cares? I can apologize, right? I can say, hey, it's necessary to put forth a correction here. What is so bizarre about this is that Ana seemingly wants to be able to hide behind this section of the show. She wants to have this 30 minutes of bonus members only content where essentially she's unaccountable for what she says. And I've just realized that actually, this threat against us is technically in a members only part of the show. So this was not posted to the Young Turks main channel for their viewers to see. No, she wanted to get away with playing this in the members only bonus section of the show, so that people could not respond to it. Well, guess what? We're doing it anyway. So I guess, come after us. I guess this is war, so throw the copyright strike at us. Let's see who YouTube sides with. But it's pretty pathetic for a channel with 6 million subscribers to be threatening 2 guys living in Kansas City with a channel that doesn't even have 100,000 subscribers. Like that would be like us threatening or copyright striking a channel with 100 subscribers. That's literally the difference in size between our channels.
Also, isn't it just her hiding behind the members only section? Like, what the fuck is this? What are we doing here? Like,
well, Jake's out of town right now.
Is that why? It's just kind of like, hey, by the way, you're never going to be able to call us out because we said that in the members only section. You're not allowed to clip it. It's only for members. It's like, I don't know. Just if you want to talk shit, talk shit.
Right. And like I said, this got posted on Twitter. So like, how the fuck are we supposed to know? It does say members only, admittedly. So to be fair, we realize here, but a lot of the stuff we've reacted to that was apparently bonus content or members only content, like again, it just gets posted on Twitter. You're telling me that we're not allowed to react to this clip right here. That's literally what she said. She's saying we're not allowed to react to this clip that was posted by Hank on Twitter. I don't know who sent it to him. I don't know where he got it. Right. So someone paid for it along the way at some point, I guess, but now we can't react to it, even though they're talking about us, even though they're threatening us. I think this is relevant to our channel. It's relevant for our audience to know about. Not that the other stuff we reacted to isn't, but specifically this is, obviously.
And you're transforming it. You're not infringing on the original copyright holders' ability to make money off their product. I mean, like I have been taken down by so many giant companies over the years of making YouTube content that I've gotten like, I should stipulate, none of this is legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. Nothing I say is actually legal advice. But I will say that like I learned the hard way by battling companies like Netflix, Sony, etc. What they are looking for when it comes to fair use, it's called fair dealing in Canada, but fair use in the US is effectively, are you infringing on the copyright holder's original ability to make money off their product? And if you are criticizing them, the answer is no. Like if you take Anna's content and then you play a certain like 15 or 30 seconds of it and you're like, here's why she's lying, this is why her argument sucks, this is why she's shit, this is why blah blah blah, you're transforming the original purpose of that content she made to criticize it. And you should be able to do that, because if you don't, how do we ever hold the more powerful accountable? People who have infinitely more power than us, And
it's crazy because as she's simultaneously talking about how the left is pro censorship and how the left is pro like pearl clutching and the left is pro, canceling people, and how that's why she's had to run to, the iced coffee hour and Ben Shapiro show and, Glenn Beck to find reasonable conversation. Meanwhile, she wants to stir the pot. She wants to say a bunch of shit, and she wants to not have any retaliation for it. She doesn't want anybody to be able to correct the record, right? And you can't. And we're at a really critical time for free speech in America, right? I cannot bring up the Mahmoud Khalil case enough, right? I really hope I'm pronouncing that gentleman's name correctly. His wife is from
It's
the
a turning
heartland.
point, though. It is a turning point.
It's crazy. His wife is an American citizen that was based or grew up in the heartland of America. They moved to New York City because he was attending Columbia, right? Crazy to just rip that guy's green card in half and say, get out of here. You're going to Louisiana, and then we're
Because of
not even
speech.
going to charge you with a crime because of speech. And now you want to be splitting hairs about fair use laws to avoid criticism from a news network. That's the other thing that's baffling about this. Say whatever you want about Sony or Marvel or Disney affiliates. They are trying to make money. They only care about making money. TYT wants to give you the veneer of progressivism. They want to tell you they're a news outlet. They want to tell you that you should donate to them, not make an exchange of goods, not get something out of it, but literally subsidize their existence because they are trying to do a net good for journalism and for the news. That is a bridge further than being like, oh, you reacted to the Star Wars movie, right? Oh, you reacted to like a 5-second snippet of my album and said, I hate it when artists do this. You know what I mean? That is different. And I mean, it's
also the basis of all of TYT. Like, how many clips of TYT have you watched where it's like, here's Tim Pool saying a thing I disagree with. Here's the clip. And then, Tim Pool's an idiot. Here's Steven Crowder saying a thing I disagree with. Steven Crowder's an idiot. And so, like, now it's like the Vanguard's doing that to you. They're like, yeah, they disagree with the thing that you just said. Are they not allowed to? Suddenly the rules don't apply? Like, you're going to go nuclear on them? Seriously? Nah, that's ridiculous. I didn't know that.
Yeah, we got to hear this one more time. And since Hank did post the video too, let's see how high quality that is. I don't know. Let's go one more time.
He is insane for not copyright striking channels who take our content from our members only bonus episode, which is intentionally behind a paywall. Just a warning to those channels, we will nuke the fuck out of you. Okay, if you're gonna content from paywalled members only content. Just want to say that. Anyway, weird to start with that, but like, come on, guys. Like, bounds of fucking reason. Okay, like, it's insane.
She's so not intimidating.
People say content all the time. We don't do anything about it. But when it comes to paywall members only content, like, we're giving people exclusive members only content. That's part.
Also, I do have to say, potential shout out to Jank, because she seems very frustrated by the fact that TYT has not been copyright striking us. She's like, I can't believe that TYT doesn't already do this. So it does seem like someone else, potentially Jank behind the scenes, is more aware of the actual copyright guidelines, and he's like, it's probably not a good idea to try to do this, Anna. Like, this isn't a good idea, a good way to fight this fight. But she wants to just bring down the full force of, I guess, their status as a big YouTube channel with lots of connections, and try to take down small YouTube channels who want to criticize them based on this, alleged violation of TOS or copyright law. It's crazy.
She wants to call our manager. That's what she wants to do. She's on Karen Kasparian, and she wants to call our manager. And that's the thing that pisses all these people off, right? That's why Rokana gets into our replies, because, like, we don't have a boss. You don't get to tell me how I'm allowed to talk to you. And these people fucking hate that because they've had their ass kissed by press forever. Like, I'm sorry, I was never going to get hired at any of these publications. The only shot I ever had at being heard was for my buddy and I to start fucking screaming into the internet. And yeah, not everything I've said has been aged perfectly, but I'm happy to answer for it. As like Gavin said, right? I would be like, hey man, this was my thought process at that time, bro. And I said it passionately because I only say shit that I believe at that time, right? And if Anna was like, you know what, guys, I really feel like I need to walk back what I said. I was really going through a personal crisis at that time, and I lost my fucking marbles for 18 months. I have nothing. I'm going to go to therapy. Whatever she says, she comes back and then she starts making based commentary again. I'd be like, fuck, dude. She must have got RFK's brainworm on a hike with Jank, and now she's back to reality again. But we wouldn't continuously lampoon their content unless they deserved it, right? And they can't constantly run around saying that they're the biggest news outlet on YouTube, the oldest news outlet on YouTube, the only one with progressive values since before Barack Obama, whatever stupid shit that they used to advertise, and then turn around and be like, no, we're not a news organization. We're a private media company that's gonna, fight tooth and nail to make sure that our, content never gets out. Like, that's just a direct about face.
It also just seems like a classic example of like if you resort to these sort of threats, like you're not winning the debate. You know,
Right.
like who in history has ever won a debate by threatening their opponent to, oh, I'm going to copyright strike you out of existence? Like, no, like just come on.
It's desperation. I like you said she's not intimidating though. It's like every person I've ever seen in a Wendy's yelling at the staff because their order was wrong, and it turns out they got more than what they originally ordered. You know, it's like losing it. Like, but I got there's 2 fries. Okay, I'm sorry. Like, like, fuck off.
Yeah. Either way. Oh, sorry, dude. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna ask Lance. You mentioned that they're desperate. Do you think that they're going broke? I think they're going broke, dude. I don't know another way to explain the Polymarket Studio thing.
So that's what I said. I was like, whatever they're doing, they fucking suck at it. Like what? Because like there's people who do what they're doing way better. There's people who tried to play both sides. Like okay, good example. You know, Glenn Greenwald kind of has one foot in the free speech for everyone, you know, aisle, but another foot in the whole. You know, I think you criticize, you know, Democrats and liberals way more than you'll ever criticize Republicans or the right on that issue, right? Even though both sides do fucked up stuff with free speech. Matt Taibbi's really bad at it. Matt Taibbi is just like one of the worst people in the world for like, you know, I have principles. No, you fucking don't. I don't know what they're doing. No one likes them. No one on the right wants to play ball with them. They're not grifting to the right successfully. They're not grifting to the perfect enlightened centrist successfully. But the Polymarket Studios thing, like the left wouldn't stand for that. Like honestly, you would get fucking torn apart by the rest of your like progressive fans, leftist fans, if you were like, this is wrong. You're promoting a cryptocurrency gambling website that can be directly manipulated by the people who stand to like fuck us all over. Elon Musk has his own tab on Polymarket Studios. I don't know if you've seen it, but there's a tab where you can bet on his tweets. So he, a man who owns an insane amount of cryptocurrency, can manipulate the Polymarket market any day he wants just by how many times he tweets, what he tweets about, all that shit. This shit is fucked up. Like, it's a really fucked up thing to promote.
Not even legal in America.
Yeah, you got to go to Canada. You got to use the Canadian IP to use Polymarket Studios because it's banned in your country. That's true.
It's
I
the
keep
cherry
forgetting
on
that.
top.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw the clip. One thing that just adds insult to injury, right, is Cenk is at Hassan's house for Janksgiving, as they call it.
I know. I was shocked that I got the call out and y'all didn't. Like I got way more call out. He was like nebulous about you two. He's like, oh, you know, the Beavis and Butthead over there making all their blah blah blah. And he's like, and Lance of the Serfs. Why do I get called out by name? You know their names. I know you know their names.
Respect for you. You're gum on the bottom of Cenk's shoe. He actually considers you a real person. But like,
I'd rather be called Beavis and Butthead. They were awesome.
Honestly, it was great for our brand. His nephew turned down $1 million to do what Cenk did. I guarantee you, for less money and more brazenly. They were just going to sponsor the one election night stream for $1 million. And Hassan was like, bro, do you think I'm an idiot? Why would I take that money? Like, I already make fuckloads of money and I do it with my principles, right? You know what I mean? Like, why would I be so dumb? Why would I be so short-sighted? And it really revealed to me that Cenk is just a god-awful businessman. He doesn't see down the road very well. He's very, you know, I don't know. I mean, he always bets on the wrong horse, it seems.
Yeah, I genuinely, I don't know what they're doing. That's the only reason I think you would try to, if you genuinely think that Charlie Kirk is more worth your time to sit down and have a beer with than Sam Cedar, you've lost the fucking plot. I'm sorry, you've lost the plot. Like, I get debating people, I get going on shows with people you disagree with, and I also get making mistakes. Like, I've aligned myself throughout the years with people who turned out to be absolute dog shit human beings, and I had to drop them or call themselves out and apologize for it, right? Like, you don't know what someone's going to end up being in terms of, like, you know, online figures or shit like that. I understand all that, but I would never sit here and be like, I have more in common with Charlie Kirk than I do with Sam Cedar. Any fucking day, you know, even if I disagreed strongly, which I don't really disagree that much with Sam Cedar, fucking Charlie Kirk's a white supremacist. The guy wants to eliminate fucking LGBTQ plus people from the earth. Like, he's like the enemy. These are bad people. This is not a man I want to have a beer with.
And the fucked up thing too is that Cenk crucified Jimmy Dore for basically doing exactly this a couple years ago. Jimmy left TYT and then embarked upon the right-wing pivot. Cenk absolutely crucified him for it at the time. Went hard against Jimmy. Obviously, Anna went hard against Dave Rubin a few years earlier than that. And I think that's why they actually failed to seamlessly pull off this right-wing grift, is because they spent literally the previous 5 or 6 years calling out other people for doing that. Again, some of the best TYT content was actually Ana exposing what Dave Rubin did and saying, no, this actually wasn't about ideology. Guess what it was about? He wasn't getting paid enough at the Young Turks. He had an
Yeah.
issue with the size of his paycheck, hence his pivot into a more profitable lane. Right? They called that out. They crucified Dore. They crucified Rubin. They articulated perfectly what was actually happening. And then they just want to do it themselves, like, 90 fucking days later. It's so wild.
Yeah, I don't know where this is headed, honestly, because again, I haven't been looking at the numbers. I don't know if their subs are plummeting from this, or people are loving this new lane or whatever. But it's like, it just seems like Matt Walsh hates them. He's made videos on how they're grifters. Laura Loomer hates them. He said, don't trust them. They're not here to be friends with us. Fuck them all. And now the left hates them too. Like, most leftists are like, you guys are sellouts. Like,
well, here's the thing. That's why he has to go and hang out with Dr. Phil. That's why he's
Right.
doing Merit TV specials. That's why Ana Kasparian is a regular with Jillian Michaels, who gets like 5,000 to 10,000 views when she's grifting to the right with a celebrity platform. She is absolutely untalented, right? All she could do was humiliate fat people on camera for a living and try and call it motivation. You know what I mean? That was how she got her bag. Right.
Yeah.
And she's not somebody that's equipped to provide analysis on any given situation. And she's not funny. So nobody cares what she has to say. Right. And then you have that's the people that they reach out to. Ana Kasparian doesn't even get main shows when she goes on Megyn Kelly to agree with her and be like, look at this left winger who also thinks trans people suck. And, the left has gone crazy. Right. She doesn't even get main showed there. OK, she's not even a big draw on the Piers Morgan show, except for when he used her as a pawn to call out Dave Rubin, which he knew would get a lot of clicks because Piers Morgan at least understands his racket, which is getting attention on Piers Morgan's show.
He's Jerry Springer. He's the Jerry Springer of the internet now. Like,
and Shank missed his opportunity to be that Jerry Springer of the internet, and now he doesn't have the opportunity to be the home of progressives anymore. So now he's going to Europe for 2 weeks to look for financing. Probably, I don't know what he's actually doing. He says he's giving some talks, but it's crazy. I don't know. He can't come back.
Speaking of what you said about, the Jerry Springer thing and how Cenk could have kind of existed or coexisted with Piers Morgan in a similar lane, it kind of brings me back to the episode that, resulted in you parting ways with the network and you essentially going from being a contributor on their panels to someone who's essentially persona non grata at the Young Turks. And, that could have been the start of that panel dynamic, right? If they had said, hey, it's true that some of the people at the TYT family don't agree with Ana's opinion on birthing person and yada, 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 all this other stuff. Let's actually hash that out. Let's actually make this a platform for discussion, for debate. I don't think that even as progressive as the three of us are, we wouldn't disown a commentator like Ana Kasparian for having a different opinion on something like that if she was willing to hash it out in a respectful way. I wouldn't
or even have a conversation
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If she just was like, hey, I feel different. I have some hot takes. Zach and I battle our chat sometime over stupid shit, like, whether or not it's acceptable to say the R slur and stuff. Like, we have hot takes too. We're not perfect progressives. We're not perfect, leftists. Of course we're willing to debate hot takes. But if you just shut out all of that discussion, smear all of your critics, lie about everyone to your left, even people like Sam Cedar and Emma Vigeland and Francesca Fiorentini, well, then that's an issue. But they didn't have to be that way. They could have taken that moment and said, hey, you know what? Ana did get a lot of backlash for this drunken transphobic tweet. Let's invite those people on to hash it out.
To be fair, I never called her a Nazi. I never called Cenk a Nazi. They say that all the time. Like, you disagree with 1% of what I'm standing up for trans rights, and they disagree 1% and just Nazi. I was like, no, everyone was so respectful. We had baby gloves on because we were like, well, they're the home of progressives. We don't want to shit on our own. We don't want to be spoilers. We don't want to be the people who are like going after the left from the left, right? But everyone was like, hey, by the way, the majority of the LGBTQ plus community and like the majority of trans people are saying this ain't it. And if we're supposed to be like, we care about standing up for their rights and fighting on their behalf because it's cis people that are oppressing them. Maybe we should listen. That's like, that was how I was wording it. It was like, it was so, at first, right? It was so nice, so polite, so like there was no.
The only people that were mean were us. You know what I mean? And that's on brand, so that's okay.
And maybe Olay a little bit.
Olay had already been massively disrespected by.
Yeah, she'd been disrespected multiple times.
Not that
at
I
that
cared,
point,
but I just, like she was a little bit more gloves off.
Olay was definitely bringing more R speed at that time.
And that triggered Ana too. The fact that, you know, in that leftist mafia segment, instead of jumping to defend her, most people were laughing at the jokes Olay was making at Ana's expense, which she totally deserved.
I mean, they were funny.
And it's just like, what do you think, you're above this, Ana? Like, if I said something really stupid and like really fucking stupid, and I tuned into leftist mafia and you guys were roasting it, I wouldn't leave the left. You know, I'd be like, LOL, I guess I have to go and defend myself. I guess I said something that was pretty fucking stupid. You know, time to go, defend it,
I changed all my beliefs because people were mean to me online. I don't care anymore about civil rights.
And that's, to me, and I would love to get your take on this, Lance. Do you think it's authentic? Do you think that she ever was a lefty? I remember we played it, her first phone call into the Michael Brooks show, right? She was talking about how she didn't even want to stoop to Dave Rubin's level by acknowledging it because she thought it was so pathetic what he'd done, and how the lowest thing you could do is build a platform as somebody who was a leftist. And Michael Brooks is like, hey, well, don't worry. The Michael Brooks show, not a bigger person show. We're not going to be the bigger person over here. We're going to call this guy a fucking lunatic and take shits on him when we want to. You know what I mean? Like that. He was like, this is a dunk fest over here for Dave Rubin. You know, and she was like, I just always try and be the bigger person. And now she is that Dave Rubin. And I'm just wondering, which way did it happen? Was she LARPing when she thought that it was going to behoove her career to get in the tank with Bernie Sanders supporters? Or is she LARPing now because she feels spurned by, some sort of grief? You know what I mean? Like, what do you think it is?
I can't speak to what's going on in her heart because I'll just never know, right? Like I can't actually talk about what her beliefs or motivations are outside of speculation. But what I can say is that, like, for me personally, the idea of that I would stop wanting to fight for a civil rights cause based on people being mean to me on the internet is absurd. That means you never actually cared about standing up for, I guess, trans rights or LGBTQ plus rights or whatever it is that she was talking about at that time, right?
Homeless people,
or people who fucking don't have homes and shit and shitting on them constantly. Like, that's why I think Olaimi was so good when she went on the show and she just explained to them what exactly abolition is. It's not I am pro rapist and I want rapists to run free and run around raping people and stabbing people. It's that we as a society should look at this problem and be like, how do we reduce it? How do we get less of the people who are in jail committing crimes, poor? What do we do to reduce that shit? And if the answer is not the things we're doing, we should do better things. They know. Like they were told. The same thing with Birthing Person. They know. There's a clip from 8 months ago where you can play like Ana Kasparian talking about inclusive language and why it's important to use inclusive language.
Oh, yes.
You know, like, so you know this shit. You're choosing actively. She's an active participant to be like, here's why I'm politically homeless. It started with the trans people. You know, whatever you want to, whatever excuse you want to make up, fine. That's on you. That's your narrative to sell. You get to tell that story, and people get to buy it if they want it. But I mean, like, it's still fucking ridiculous, you know, to me personally. I don't know. It's like Cody Johnson had a tweet like, someone was mean to me online, so I changed all my beliefs, values, and principles or something like that. It's like, it's that manifest, right? Like, you're doing it.
And if you're basing your ideology on like how people in this ideological camp reacted to something instead of just like what your actual political beliefs and principles are, I think that's an issue, right? Like, who really gives a fuck? Even if it was true that the online left was 10 times more unhinged than the online right, which of course is not true at all. But even say it was, so everyone on the right was really polite and, you know, they were really well spoken and respectful. Well, guess what? That doesn't make their fucking positions any better just because they're more polite or civil. Like, the left-wing positions are still the correct positions if you give a fuck about your fellow human beings, at least, right? So, you know, that's another thing. But either way, it's a crazy situation. It's been fun to, you know, paddle our way through the slop and the muck.
Last thing I wanted to ask you about related to that, did you see what happened with Pastor Ben, where she went after him, where he had chosen, which I didn't know this, apparently it's an ethnic slur, the word Ana Asparagus, and she was like, that is a ethnic slur against Armenian people and
anti-white racist.
Anti-white racist. First off, I didn't know. I had no idea until that moment that was an anti-Armenian slur. But I think you two nailed that one.
The host of the Young Turks.
That's when I saw that tweet. I was like, oh my god, how are you on the Young Turks and you're worried about anti-Armenian slurs? You can't be serious.
Bro, yesterday when we were dunking on that anti-trans tangent that she went on, that apparently was behind a member paywall and she fucking lost her shit about it, she was basically saying 86% of the country doesn't support this. You gotta give it up. Listen to people. They've decided. I was like, that's a pretty ironic thing for an Armenian to say from the home of the Young Turks. Really? I don't know if you want to roll back the clock about 115 years, but you would not be making that same argument. Anyway.
Yep, it's out of control.
Yeah. It was good to catch up, though, Lance. Really appreciate.
I miss y'all. I agree. I agree.
Yeah,
I always have a fun time on the show.
Collabs.
I agree.
Let's get together more.
Hey, let me be your Canadian correspondent, and y'all can be my American insiders. How about that? And we can take down the empire from the inside. Yeah.
You know what? Well, like I said, we'll expatriate if the time comes. You have our solemn oath over here. We're not going to pick up any firearms, so that'll be pretty Canadian about us. We'll fit right in. No, I'm kidding.
Although he said the Canadians are buying guns and.
Well, they're searching. The Google search for owning guns is skyrocketing right now. So
is it easy to own a gun there?
Very heavily restricted.
Buy one?
No, you can't. So if you want to buy a gun in Canada, you got to get a license. That's how it works. You got to take a 2-day course. You get a gun license. You learn how to use the firearm, and then you have the ability to buy them after a background check.
That's so reasonable. Why?
It's why we don't. It's why we don't have the shootings that y'all have. That's why we don't have the same kind of mass shootings. Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, it's so easy. Like, I'm not in favor of making it impossible. Obviously, like I don't want people to have to go through endless bureaucracy. But yeah, just like a weekend long course so you know how to use the fucking weapon. It's kind of like when you
learn how to use the thing that kills people. Sounds good. Yeah, exactly. It's like you have to drive a car, you got to get a license to do it. It's the same thing with a gun, right? They can both kill people. Yeah.
I think one thing that we should end on altogether is when Tom Homan, Executive Associate Director for Enforcement and Removal Operations in this country, and Ana Kasparian are really sharing a similar sentiment on free speech, and that's that it has some limitations. We can play this before you get out of here.
Free speech has limitations, but when you go to a college campus, you incite protesting and locking down and taking over buildings and damaging property.
And reacting to members-only YouTube content.
And handing out leaflets for Hamas, who is a terrorist organization. Coming to this country either on a visa or becoming a resident alien is a great privilege, but there are rules associated with that.
It's actually a right in this country. I have to correct the record on that. Anyway,
I like how handing out leaflets for a terrorist organization is actually like if someone handed me a leaflet on the street for ISIS, I'd be like, LOL. Like that's not actually going to change anyone's fucking mind.
It's always been free speech, and it's the speech they want to be the freest. That's how the right works. That's been my experience with them. They care about free speech, but their speech. That's it. Not all speech,
which is pro censorship.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Either way, good to chat, Lance. Let's do it again soon.
Hey, plug your site, and I'll do the same. Everyone who's listening to me, if you want to check out my channel, go to youtube.com/the Serf Times. I'm just about to hit 100,000 subs. It's a race between me and the Vanguard. Who will get there first? Sub to both channels.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. Serf Times. Everybody go subscribe over there.
It's awesome, like subscribe to PewDiePie, but not for Nazis. It's two lefty
Everyone
channels.
in our channel.
Don't let this happen to you. Go to serfscoffee.com to order the only end-to-end owned indigenous coffee company that delivers blood-free, conflict-free, and cruelty-free beans right to your door. 0% of people who drink serfscoffee.com have exploded spontaneously. By ordering right now, you get 10% off plus free shipping, and it's the best way to enjoy delicious coffee while not exploding. That's serfscoffee.com, serfscoffee.com.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This video wouldn't be at all possible without the financial support of all the people whose names you see on the screen right now. And if you want to unlock secret bonus episodes, content that we can't post anywhere else, or get the videos early before anyone else gets to see them, please go on to patreon.com/theserfs. For as little as $1, you can help support this channel and help make more videos like this possible. Our executive producers are Anna Loves Riley, Adrian McCarthy, Bobby Lasers, Cheryl Alvarez, Comrade Junkie, Doug Caddy, Everything Important, Garrett Sandoval, Hagbard Celine, Jimmy Sombrero, Multimondi, Omni, Political Papi, Preston Kroll, Quiet 185, Richard Boehm, Riley and Anna, Roller Dragon, Cernicus, Stellar Gwyn, Sebastian Demel, Tigwig, Trav, and Words Greenwood. And also, it wouldn't be possible without all the names you see on the screen right now. Again, if you want to help produce this content, it's only made possible through the funding of our patrons. Head on down to patreon.com/theserfs. That's patreon.com/theserfs.